Hello, I'm Beth, and this is Social Leopards. It's the holiday season, a time that can feel both tender and complicated. Today, I want to spend a little time exploring what the holiday season really means for different people, because not everyone experiences it in the same way. And then, a little ahead of the new year, I'll share memories from this past year that remind me how gratitude often lives in the quiet and unexpected moments. I've always been a little careful about saying happy holidays too broadly, not because I don't wish people happiness, I do deeply, but because I've learned that this time of year can hold a lot of mixed emotions. For some, holidays sparkle with anticipation, tradition, and connection, but for others, they bring stress, exhaustion, loneliness, or memories that sting a little, or a lot. If the holidays feel heavy for you, I just want to say this. You're not broken, and you're not alone. It's perfectly okay if you're not in a festive mood, if the noise and cheer feel like too much, or if you're just trying to get through the week. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to make a little space to breathe, to create your own rhythm in the middle of all that seasonal chaos. For some, that means leaning into solitude, not as isolation, but as a gift. Solitude gives us permission to exhale, to listen inwardly, and to rediscover what actually restores us. So if you find yourself spending the day alone, or if you simply need to step away from the holiday swirl, here are a few ideas for filling that space with intention, warmth, and maybe even a spark of joy. Let's start with something timeless, curling up with a good read. Whether it's a novel or a collection of essays or one of those deep dive Substack posts that sends you down a rabbit hole of new perspectives, reading can be a quiet act of companionship. I'm a bit of a Substack superfan. I love discovering voices from all over the world who write about everything from creativity to curiosity to the small moments that make us human. As I'm doing household chores or driving across town to run an errand, one of my go-tos is the latest Audible book in my e-library so that I can multitask while enjoying a good book. You could also lean into a movie day. I especially like this one during this time of year as the winter sets in and it's a chore to even venture outdoors. There's something comforting about wrapping up in a blanket, pouring a mug of cocoa, losing yourself in the story. I save all my sci-fi and dystopian binges, actually, for days when my husband's out and about. It's my version of me time. If you're feeling creative, the kitchen can be its own little sanctuary. I love to bake when I have a quiet afternoon. Cookies, pies, bread. There's something grounding about working with your hands, about the smell of cinnamon and butter filling the air. I once made one of the best apple pies ever, purely out of boredom. And I swear that first bite tasted like happiness. Or maybe you'd rather make something less edible and more expressive. DIY projects can be surprisingly therapeutic. Whether it's painting, crafting, or my favorite, creating kindness rocks. I keep a little box of supplies from the local dollar store ready for whenever inspiration strikes. Later, when I scatter those painted rocks around town in the spring, it feels like I've planted tiny surprises of kindness for strangers to find. So this next idea is a little unconventional, but decluttering can be surprisingly satisfying, especially when your mind feels cluttered. I've had entire afternoons transformed by simply cleaning out a junk drawer. It's amazing how quickly tidying up becomes a sort of emotional reset. It has also been known to give me a burst of energy. I think I may gain a little momentum in my day from knowing that I finally tackled that to-do list item that hides at the very bottom of my list. And sometimes I find something tucked away that I forgot all about, and that makes me smile. Of course, movement helps too. A little yoga, wall Pilates, or a Qigong session can work wonders on a restless day. And while we're talking about unwinding, and at the risk of being very social media self-care moment-like even by mentioning it, home spa days can be underrated. They aren't a magical cure for feeling down or lonely, but a scented candle or a fireplace roaring, music, and a bit of pampering, It's not about vanity. It's about nurturing yourself the way you'd nurture someone else you love. And then you have my constant companion, music and podcasts. They're perfect for lifting your energy or keeping you company while you go about the day. I've discovered that the right playlist or podcast series can feel like having a friend in the room. Just remember to come back to Social Leopards, okay? If you're separated from loved ones by distance, you might try reaching out. Even a quick text, a call, or a few minutes of video chatting can bring connection into your day. Holidays don't have to mean extravagant, planned events and activities. Sometimes it's the smallest check-ins that remind us we still belong somewhere. Finally, to round out my little idea list today, consider learning something new. When life slows down, curiosity has room to stretch. Lately, I've been fascinated by sleep, how it works, and how to improve it. So I've been diving into research and trying new strategies. It's been surprisingly fun and effective for me personally. Now, none of these activities are meant to be a fix for a difficult day, but each one offers a gentle way back to yourself. Because sometimes peace doesn't arrive through cheer. It arrives through stillness, through comfort, and through small, intentional acts of care. Now, before I wrap up, I want to shift gears and spend a few minutes in the more traditional world of 2025 in review. I won't bore you with all the details. Instead, I'm choosing the 2 little memories from this past year that made me feel profoundly grateful, the kinds of memories that stick to your heart and remind you of what really matters. Of course, both are family-oriented for me. The first is with my youngest granddaughter, my little birdie. For months, almost every time we'd FaceTime, she would ask when I was coming to pick her up from her after-school program at the Boys and Girls Club. So one Tuesday in September, we made it happen. I showed up, got checked in, and waited while the receptionist called her name. When Birdie rounded the corner and saw me, she froze for half a second, and then she ran toward me, full speed, shouting, "Nana, it's my Nana!" I can still see that joy on her face. On the walk back to the car, she looked up, holding my hand in the parking lot, and said, "I love you, Nana." That moment could have powered me for a year. My older granddaughter, who I'll call Pumpkin, gifted me with another memory I'll treasure forever. We were on family cruise this summer, a little weekend trip, and because it was the family's first cruise together ever, I'd bought matching swimsuit cover-ups for her, her mom, and me. That first evening, the 3 of us stood out on the balcony together. The air was warm, the sun was sinking low over the Caribbean, and she also slipped her hand into mine. "I love this already," she said. My husband happened to capture that moment in a photo, and every time I look at it, I'm reminded about how lucky I am, not just for that view, but for the love that surrounded it. I know not every family story is easy or close or uncomplicated, which is why when love is there in all its imperfect, blended, beautiful forms, it's worth noticing. It's worth celebrating. And as we move through the holiday season, I hope you'll give yourself permission to experience it in your way. Whether that means a full house and laughter around the table, or a quiet evening spent with a book, a cup of tea, and your own company. The heart of this season isn't about perfection or performance. It's about presence, being right here, fully alive to the moments that remind us how deeply human we are. So whatever the season holds for you, I hope you find your way to a little peace, a little gratitude, and maybe even a spark of joy. Until next time, I'm Beth, and this has been Social Leopards. Happy holidays in whatever way feels right for you. Take care.